I'm Anna Whitmore, 42, a project manager, divorced, living alone. I've always handled life on my own, and I thought hard work meant respect. Today, I learned how wrong I was. I sat in Marcus Hale's glass office, staring at the bonus letter in my hands. The paper felt heavier than it should have. My performance rating glowed at the top, exceptional. Below it, in cold black numbers, my bonus read $0. Marcus didn't look surprised. He leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled like he was about to deliver wisdom. Compensation decisions are discretionary, Anna, he said smoothly. This really isn't up for discussion. I opened my mouth, then closed it. My throat felt tight. I had worked 50-hour weeks for 12 months straight. I had saved 3 major projects. I had earned this money, not hoped for it, earned it. I don't understand, I managed. He glanced at his computer screen. Sometimes these things just happen. You're still valued here. I walked out of his office with my legs shaking. Something inside me broke that afternoon, and then immediately hardened into something else entirely. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the year I'd just survived. The late nights debugging code while everyone else went home. The weekend I spent fixing a client deliverable that should have taken a full team. The emergency in October when our system crashed, and I worked through the night to restore it. Marcus had called me at 2 a.m. that night, panicked. Anna, I need you to handle this. I'm trusting you. I had handled it. Alone. By morning, everything ran smoothly again. 3 days later, he'd stopped by my desk with coffee. You're taken care of, he'd said, winking. Don't worry about that. Those words echoed in my head now, sharp as broken glass. You're taken care of. I replayed them over and over until they stopped sounding like a promise and started sounding like a threat. I remembered something else too. Back in July, I'd caught a mistake Marcus made on a budget proposal. He'd miscalculated project costs by nearly $40,000. If that proposal had gone to leadership with those numbers, the entire initiative would have stalled. His credibility would have shattered. I'd found the error at 9 p.m. on a Thursday. I didn't tell anyone. I just corrected it quietly and sent him the revised version with a casual note. Updated the figures. Looks better now. He'd thank me in person the next morning, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. He looked uncomfortable, like I'd seen something I wasn't supposed to. Now, staring at my ceiling at midnight, I understood. I hadn't just fixed his mistake. I'd given him leverage. I'd shown him I could be silent when it mattered. And he'd learned exactly what he could get away with. The next morning, I tried one more time. I knocked on Marcus's door during his open office hours. He waved me in, still smiling that plastic smile. Marcus, I just need clarification, I said calmly. Can you explain what factors led to my bonus being 0? His smile widened. Anna, you're doing great work. But bonuses reflect a lot of variables. Budget constraints, departmental priorities, future planning. You should be grateful you have job security in uncertain times. I blinked. Job security? I'd carried half his workload. But my performance review is excellent, he interrupted. And that's reflected in your continued employment here. Some people didn't even get that assurance. I left his office feeling dizzy. He'd turned my question into a favor he'd done for me. I walked to the bathroom and locked myself in a stall. My hands shook so hard I had to grip the metal divider. But I didn't cry. Not yet. I decided something important that afternoon. I wasn't going to complain. I wasn't going to vent to coworkers or send angry emails or escalate to HR. I was going to do absolutely nothing. I went back to my desk and worked exactly like I had before. I answered emails promptly. I joined meetings on time. I smiled at Marcus in the hallway. He relaxed. I saw it happen. His shoulders dropped. He started delegating more work to me again, casually, like nothing had ever been wrong. But I was paying attention now. Really paying attention. I started noticing things. How he phrased requests. Who he praised in meetings. Whose names appeared on approval documents. I wasn't angry anymore. I was curious. And curiosity is much more dangerous than anger. Within a week, I saw the pattern. I wasn't the first woman this had happened to. Bonuses vanished for women in our department with alarming regularity. Priya in analytics, gone. Michelle in operations, reduced to almost nothing. Meanwhile, Jordan got his full amount. So did Kyle. The men got vague, cheerful praise in meetings. The women got silence, or worse, got told they were lucky to be here. But my case was different. My case was unusually clean. I had documentation. Every project I'd completed had email confirmations, client thank yous, measurable results. I hadn't just done good work. I'd left a trail proving it. Most people don't think about evidence until they need it. I'd been accidentally building a fortress. I didn't plan to use it yet. I just needed to know it existed. On Monday, I sent a simple email to our payroll coordinator, Helena. No accusations. No emotion. Just a polite question. Hi Helena, hope you're well. Quick question. Can you walk me through how bonus approvals flow? Just trying to understand the process for future reference. Thanks. She replied within an hour. Warm, helpful, unsuspecting. Hi Anna. Of course. Department heads submit their bonus recommendations to Finance by December 10th. Finance reviews for budget alignment, then sends approvals back to department heads by December 18th. Department heads finalize and submit to payroll by December 22nd. Let me know if you need anything else. I read it 3 times. December 10th, Marcus submitted recommendations. December 18th, Finance approved them. December 22nd, Marcus finalized them. That didn't match what he'd told me. He'd made it sound like bonuses were decided by some mysterious committee, some force beyond his control. But Helena's email was clear. Marcus had submitted my bonus. Marcus had finalized it. This was his decision, not the company's. His. I started digging through my old emails. Not frantically, methodically. I created a folder labeled Project Archive and quietly moved things into it. Approval chains. Budget sign-offs. Messages where Marcus praised my work. One email stood out. From November, right before bonuses were decided. Anna, fantastic work on the Greenway project. You saved us here. Finance is thrilled. I'm making sure this is reflected in your year-end compensation. I stared at that sentence. I'm making sure this is reflected. He'd written it. He'd promised it. And then he'd done the opposite. I didn't save anything dramatic. I just organized what already existed. Dates lined up. Promises lined up. Outcomes didn't. I realized something that made my pulse quicken. My bonus required exactly 1 signature to be approved. Marcus's. He hadn't forgotten. He hadn't been overruled. He'd actively chosen to take it from me. 2 weeks later, I was walking past the executive conference room when I heard voices. The door was cracked open. I shouldn't have stopped, but I did. Retention risks in the tech division, someone said. I recognized the voice. Brenda Oakes, our VP. Who are we worried about? Another voice asked. Anna Whitmore's name came up, Brenda said. Her compensation dropped significantly this year. Any reason for that? My heart hammered. I stepped closer, just out of sight. Marcus's voice came next, casual and confident. Anna's great, but her project load was lighter this year. We adjusted accordingly. She understood. I almost laughed out loud. Lighter? I worked more hours than anyone on the team. But I stayed silent, hidden, listening. Interesting, Brenda said slowly. Can you follow up with a written summary of her project contributions? Just for the file. Marcus agreed. Too quickly. I walked away before anyone saw me, my mind racing. He'd just lied. And now he had to put that lie in writing. I didn't correct him. I didn't send Brenda an email. I didn't defend myself. I just let Marcus's version of events exist on its own, unchallenged. Sometimes the best thing you can do is let someone dig their own hole. 3 days later, Marcus sent his summary to Brenda. I knew because Helena accidentally CC'd me on a payroll reconciliation thread that referenced it. I opened the attachment. He'd listed my projects for the year, but he'd downplayed them. Minor client support. Routine system updates. He'd rewritten my work to sound small. But I had the real emails. The ones where he'd called those same projects critical and high value. The contrast was breathtaking. He'd praised me in private and diminished me on record. I saved everything. Then I did nothing. Not yet. Late one Thursday night, I opened LinkedIn. I'd been thinking about this for weeks, but I hadn't acted. Now I did. I found a job posting at a competitor. Same role, better pay, better reputation. I updated my resume. I wrote a cover letter. I applied. I expected to wait weeks for a response. They replied the next morning. "Hi, Anna, we'd love to schedule a call. Are you available Monday?" I stared at the email. My hands trembled. This was real. This was happening. I wrote back professionally, confirming Monday at 3 p.m. Then I closed my laptop and sat in silence. For the first time in months, I felt something that wasn't anger or fear. I felt possibility. The following week, Marcus started acting strange. He complimented me in meetings. He asked my opinion on things he'd normally decide alone. He even hinted at upcoming opportunities in front of the team. It felt wrong. Too friendly. Too sudden. After one meeting, he pulled me aside. "Anna, I've been thinking. You've been doing exceptional work. Let's talk soon about your career path here." I smiled. "That sounds great, Marcus." "Thanks." But I knew. He sensed something. Maybe he'd heard whispers. Maybe he'd noticed my quietness had a different quality now. Whatever it was, he was trying to reel me back in. It was too late. I'd already had 2 interviews with the other company. They loved me. I loved them. The contrast was startling. People who valued my work, who asked my opinions, who didn't play games. I hadn't realized how tired I was until I felt what respect actually looked like. One night, I drafted an email demanding my bonus. I wrote 3 paragraphs explaining exactly why I deserved it, citing every project, every success, every lie Marcus had told. I read it over 5 times. My anger poured off the screen. It felt good to write it. It felt powerful. Then I deleted it. Anger would only help him. It would let him paint me as emotional, unstable, difficult. It would give him ammunition. He'd forward my email to HR with a sad shake of his head. See? This is why we had concerns. I wasn't going to give him that. I was going to stay calm, professional, and completely unreachable. Patience wasn't weakness. Patience was strategy. For 4 weeks, I pulled back. Not dramatically, just enough. I stopped volunteering for extra tasks. I stopped working late unless absolutely necessary. I stopped answering non-urgent emails after 6 p.m. Meetings started running differently. Decisions stalled. People began asking, "Where's Anna? Does anyone know what she decided on this?" Marcus started looking stressed. He delegated so much to me that my absence created gaps everywhere. But he couldn't call me out without admitting how much he'd relied on me. And if he admitted that, he'd have to explain why my bonus was 0. I watched it happen with quiet satisfaction. My work had been invisible when I did it. Now that I wasn't doing it, the silence was deafening. On a rainy Tuesday afternoon, I sat in my car after the final interview. My phone buzzed. "Anna, we'd like to extend an offer. Can we schedule a call tomorrow to discuss details?" I read the message 3 times. Then I put my phone down and cried. Not sad tears, releasing tears. Tears that washed away months of humiliation and doubt. They wanted me. They valued me. They were willing to prove it with actual money and actual respect. I hadn't resigned yet. I hadn't told Marcus. I hadn't told anyone. But sitting in that car, rain drumming on the roof, I felt the ending approaching, and it felt like clarity. 2 days later, Brenda requested a formal meeting. The email was vague but pointed. Need to discuss departmental compensation decisions. Marcus, please prepare documentation. I wasn't invited, but I heard about it from Priya, who heard it from someone in finance. An hour after that meeting ended, Marcus appeared at my desk. His face was tight. "Anna, can we talk?" Privately. I followed him to his office. He closed the door. For the first time, he looked uncertain. "There's been some confusion about year-end bonuses," he started. "I think we need to revisit your situation." I waited. I didn't help him. "I may have miscommunicated some details," he continued. "I'd like to correct that. Quietly. No need to involve anyone else." I leaned back in my chair. "You told me it wasn't up for discussion." His jaw tightened. Circumstances change. What circumstances? He didn't answer. He just asked me to think about it and let him know. I left his office knowing exactly what this was. Damage control. He needed me to stay silent, to accept whatever he offered now and pretend the rest never happened. I didn't think about it. I already knew my answer. On Monday morning, I submitted my resignation letter. It was professional. It was brief. It thanked the company for the opportunity and provided my end date, 2 weeks from Friday. No accusations. No emotional speeches. Just dates and polite gratitude. I hand-delivered it to Marcus at 9 a.m. He read it twice. The color drained from his face. Anna, let's talk about this. There's nothing to discuss, I said calmly. I've accepted another position. Is this about the bonus? His voice cracked slightly. Because we can fix that. This isn't about fixing anything, Marcus. This is about moving forward. The room went completely silent. He stared at me like I just pulled the floor out from under him. And in a way I had. That evening my phone rang. Marcus. I let it go to voicemail. He called again 30 minutes later. Then again at 9 p.m. I listened to his messages the next morning. His tone had shifted from confident to almost pleading. Anna, please call me back. I need to discuss transition plans. There are projects only you know how to handle. I deleted the voicemails. I didn't respond. He'd had 12 months to value my work. He'd had multiple opportunities to treat me fairly. He'd chosen otherwise. Now he needed my help, and I didn't owe him anything. Not my time. Not my knowledge. Not my forgiveness. The panic in his voice should have felt satisfying. Instead, it just felt final. On Wednesday, I received a calendar invite. Exit discussion, optional attendance. It was scheduled for Friday with Brenda, Marcus, and someone from HR. I accepted. I wasn't required to go, but I wanted to. I wanted to sit in that room one last time. I wanted to watch what happened when people asked questions Marcus couldn't answer. Friday arrived. I dressed carefully, professional, composed, calm. I walked into the conference room exactly on time. Brenda sat at the head of the table. Marcus sat across from me, avoiding eye contact. The HR rep, a woman named Simone, sat beside Brenda with a folder in front of her. I knew I'd already won. I just had to let them realize it. Brenda started the meeting. Anna, we're sorry to see you go. Before you leave, we'd like to understand what led to this decision. I kept my voice even. I've accepted a role that aligns better with my career goals. Was there anything we could have done differently? Simone asked gently. I paused. I think that's a question better directed at leadership. Brenda turned to Marcus. Marcus, walk us through Anna's performance this year and how her compensation was determined. His face went pale. Well, Anna performed well. Her compensation reflected departmental budget realities. But her bonus was 0, Brenda said. Can you explain why? Marcus shifted in his seat. There were multiple factors. Project load, strategic priorities. Her project load was lighter? Brenda interrupted, glancing at a printed email. That's what you wrote here. Marcus nodded stiffly. Brenda slid a second document across the table. This is from finance. It shows Anna billed more project hours than anyone in your department. The room went still. Marcus stared at the document. His mouth opened, then closed. He looked trapped. Brenda continued, her voice measured. I also have emails where you called her work critical and high value. That doesn't align with routine updates. Marcus's face reddened. I may have phrased things differently in different contexts. Phrased things differently, Brenda repeated slowly. Or misrepresented her contributions to justify a compensation decision? Simone leaned forward. Marcus, did you reduce Anna's bonus for performance reasons or budget reasons? Budget, he said quickly. Then why didn't other team members experience the same reduction? Simone asked. No one looked at me. They were all looking at him, watching him unravel, watching him realize he had no good answer. The silence stretched. I sat perfectly still, hands folded in my lap, face neutral. I didn't gloat. I didn't speak. I just existed in that moment, watching the truth do its work. Finally, Marcus looked directly at me. His expression was something between desperation and resentment. Anna, I apologize if there was any miscommunication. There wasn't a miscommunication, I said quietly. You made a choice. Brenda cleared her throat. Anna, thank you for your time. You're free to go. Marcus, please stay. I stood, gathered my things, and walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't look back. I just left. In the hallway, my heart pounded. My hands shook. But my head was clear. I'd done it. I'd made him answer. Not with anger. Not with accusations. Just with facts, patience, and silence. And it had been enough. That afternoon, Marcus found me packing my desk. He approached slowly like I might bolt. Anna, he said quietly, can I talk to you? I looked up. Sure. I'm sorry, he said. I handled this poorly. I should have been transparent. I nodded. You should have. Is there anything I can do? I smiled faintly. You can let me finish packing. He flinched. Then he nodded and walked away. It wasn't the apology I deserved, but it was the only one he was capable of giving. And that told me everything I needed to know. I gave him the same professionalism he'd given me. Nothing more. Nothing less. My last day was quiet. I handed over my projects. I sent polite goodbye emails. I walked out of the building at 4:30 p.m. with a box of personal items and my dignity fully restored. I didn't badmouth Marcus. I didn't gossip. I didn't leave a dramatic exit email. I just left cleanly, professionally, with my reputation intact. People noticed. Priya hugged me goodbye and whispered, "You're the bravest person I know." I smiled. I didn't feel brave. I felt tired. But I also felt free. 6 weeks later, I was settling into my new job. The difference was startling. My boss asked my opinion. My work was acknowledged. My bonus was written into my contract. Clear, fair, no games. One afternoon, Priya texted me, "Marcus doesn't have department authority anymore." Brenda restructured everything. I stared at the message. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt finished. I didn't scream. I didn't expose him publicly. I didn't burn bridges. I just made him answer for what he'd done. Not in front of the world, just in front of the people who mattered. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it's just walking away and watching the truth catch up. And that was enough.